Good morning again, everyone. Thank you all so much for coming in and joining. I'll go ahead and give Deacon more time to set up the PowerPoint. This morning's session is going to be a little bit different, kind of leading into where we are right now with the COVID-19 virus. And a lot of things are happening to us that we really need to be paying a lot of attention to. A lot of scams are going on, a lot of hacking, a lot of things that are making people really nervous, even about applying for jobs. So you'll see some things that you might have heard before. You might see some new information that you can share with friends or family members. Those that you know need to hear this information that might not be here with us this morning. We got two other people that just joined in. And I don't know how we get this survey back, but we might talk about that a little bit later. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get to our PowerPoint.
There we go.
All right, we'll scroll through. Next slide. We'll move kind of briefly through some of these. And this disclaimer, again, is the bulk of my information comes from the Federal Trade Center that has Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. I got some stuff this time from YouTube and from the internet, so I don't always want that information always. Can you mute yourself, Deacon Moore? Are they all muted? All right, next screen.
Yeah, I can mute folks if we need to.
All right, so that's just a kind of overview of the previous things that we've talked about. We won't go a lot into that. Last time we talked about understanding your life insurance options and the needs. What do you really need in terms of life insurance, making sure you have the right policy. Any of the things that we've discussed before, just reach out to us and let us know, and we'll be glad to share that with you again. We still have the PowerPoints we could send to you. Any of the documentations that you might not have, just let us know. Next slide.
One second here. There we go.
Okay, so then this is where I'll let Deacon Moore kind of briefly talk about those principles we discussed.
Okay, we've covered, I think, 7 or 8 principles as of right now, and I won't go into great detail because we covered them already, but they are listed there. The first principle was that God is the source. You know, we need to realize as Christian folks that you know, what we have, the blessings we have, come from the Lord, and that should give us a sense of trust. And not have to worry about our blessings, because we know that the cattle on 1,000 hills belong to the Lord. The second principle we covered was that giving is essential. We need to realize that we are given blessings so we can be a blessing to others. The third one is live with a margin. For someone who lives day to day and spends up everything that they actually accumulate, that person has no way to save for tomorrow. And we always know that you know, that things happen out there. Things break down, cars break down, emergencies come, and to not have a plan that considers those things would not be wise. The fourth one is savings. You know, I personally believe that just like in tithing, 1/10 of everything that I have should go towards savings also. There's a book that I love to read. It's called The Richest Man in Babylon, and it teaches that principle, and I've always lived by that, and most financial planners do also. That says at least 10% of what you make should be saved. And again, you know, of course, we know tithing, and I won't go into that, but that's a principle also. Okay, the other ones we covered was keep out of debt. You know, there's such a thing as good debt and bad debt, and I won't make the blanket statement that says you should never borrow, because you know, in today's world that may not be the most prudent way to do things, but you should consider what you borrow, because as that scripture says, the rich rules over the poor, and the slave is a borrower to the lender. I believe there's good debt and there's bad debt, and you ought to reduce bad debt as much as you can. And that's what we covered was be content. I think many people find themselves in a bad situation because they see what others have and they want those things. And it may not be time for that person to actually go off and get those things for themselves. So as the Apostle Paul says, I've learned to rejoice in scarcity and in abundance. And as Christians, I think we can learn from the Apostle Paul. And those were the ones we covered in the past. We'll cover a new one today. Sister Beverly, back to you.
All right. Okay. So that was kind of things that we did our last session. So next slide. All right. So we've talked about in the past managing your finances during COVID-19. Again, living on a budget, making sure that you're saving, prioritizing your bills. Make sure you pay those essential bills first. Contacting your creditors if you're having any issues paying those bills, and be sure to apply for unemployment. I know the lines are long, and I tell many of my clients at the office, hey, just be patient. If they owe you, you still get your money. Just try to make it right now if you can. But definitely, if that's something that applies to you, make sure you go ahead and apply for that. And again, that $600 that was there per week has ended. There's a web link to apply and the phone number. Be sure to pay off your debts if you got extra money from the stimulus, and cut out any non-essential expenses, things that you just don't have to have right now, and try to reduce those. Downgrade those that's the uncuttable expenses. So if you have like a cable company, you can maybe downgrade to more of a basic. If you're paying hundreds of dollars for cable, you might can go down with just a basic cable. Learn how to do many of your home repairs yourself. Can you learn how to, change filters and change your water filters and things like that? Try to learn how to do some things on your own. And it's also a great time to get additional online certifications, job knowledge, or training if you happen to be furloughed or unemployed and you have extra time. Good time to take advantage of that. And normally I would talk about the next stimulus package that's on the table, but right now there's nothing confirmed other than I think they will do another $1,200, similar to what they did before. There was that HEROES Act, but I don't think they're going through with that. Now we're on to the HEALS Act. Next screen.
Before we go to the next screen, two things real quick. Of course, for those of you who are attending, if you have a question, you can unmute yourself. I've muted you all now, but you do have the ability to unmute yourself if you have a question. Also, I have a question, Sister Beverly. If someone has applied for unemployment and has not received it, and I actually have a nephew who hasn't received anything since April, and of course, the $600 a week he hasn't gotten either because the state has been slowed down. Any advice for those kind of folks?
I do have a friend that works there at the unemployment office, and she's given me a different number that people can call and inquire about the money, and also if they want to try to schedule an individual appointment so that they don't have to hopefully wait in the lines quite as long. Phone calls can take a long time to be answered. It's always best to call first thing in the morning if that's possible. And also I can share that number for anybody that would need it at the end. I can get that number if you have someone that would need to maybe go past the line a little bit. She's given me a number that people can call. So that will be my kind of recommendation, is try to either schedule an appointment or call this other number. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
All righty. Okay.
Yes, I'm up again. Biblical principles. Today's principle is keeping records or learning to budget. And my two subpoints there are understand your costs and just seek to understand how things work. Luke 14:28 says, which one of you, when he wants to build a tower, does not first sit down and calculate the cost see if he has enough to complete it. And I think so many people run through life without a plan, and you know, it's just a good idea to understand what's going on. You know, I used to always tell my sons, if you don't know where you're going, it's almost confirmed you will never get there. So actually having a budget, understanding what's coming in, what's going out. And it's amazing to me. I was talking to Sister Beverly. I'm not someone who sits down and calculates things by the nickel, but it helps me every time when I go off and look and calculate my expenses and see what's out there. And also it makes me understand exactly what I may be spending money on that I really don't need. Sister Beverly actually mentioned cable. I actually saved about $80 a month by going through looking at cable. I was paying for channels I wasn't even using. But if I hadn't actually gone out and done a budget to say, man, I'm paying a lot of money for cable, then I wouldn't have even seen that. The second point is seek to understand. I use Proverbs 24:3-4. It says, by wisdom a house is built, and by understanding it is established. And by knowledge the rooms are filled with all precious and pleasant riches. And you know, the Bible speaks in so many places about just having an understanding of how things work. And many of the principles that we're going to cover in this class, you won't have a full understanding of it and how to apply it to your personal situation if you don't understand what your personal situation is. So, you know, even before you can learn, you got to figure out where you are. Example, again, you using travel. If I'm telling you how to get to Chicago, you know, the question of whether you have to go north or south depends on where you actually are. You know, if you're in Minnesota, you go south. If you're in Mississippi, you go north. So understanding your starting point is so important. And that's why I put it in the notes down there. Financial knowledge is in the numbers. You have to understand where you are to actually help yourself get to where you want to be. Sister Beverly?
Okay, very good. Thank you.
I've done the poll already.
Okay, so here's understanding your score. Okay, so look at your score. I know we kind of shared those already, and kind of see 100 plus points. You're kind of at a high risk. So pretty much I recommend that you purchase a cross-cut paper shredder, become more security aware in document handling, making sure you're not carrying things like Social Security cards in your wallet or things with that number in your purse or on a piece of paper or in your children's. And you want to start to question why people need your personal data. That's your data. And you don't have to share certain things. And if it's not something they have to have, ask them, hey, can I give you something else? Can I give you something else? Don't always just rattle off your Social Security number. Yeah, so just kind of understanding. And we'll go through some slides today to kind of better help you understand and kind of see what things you should and should not be doing. So if you're in the 50 to 99, your odds of being victimized are about average. And 0 to 49, congratulations. You have a high IQ when it comes to your ID protection. So thank you all so much for sharing with that. And then we'll go ahead with the next slide. Anybody have any questions about the poll? Any of the items there? Any questions? Okay. All right, so we're going to talk about protecting your identity and why it is important. I always want to answer that why question because it helps us better understand when we're doing things, why we're doing that thing. All right, so here's our little guy there. He's sitting there getting our passwords while we're asleep. He's, fisting out and hacking. So we want to be cognitive. These things are real. And right now during pandemic, a lot of people have a lot more time on their hands. And they're looking at ways to really get into people's personal data. And I know personally I had it happen not too long ago through my Amazon account. So you have to make sure that you're keeping your eyes open. Just can't take anything for granted right now because a lot of people are out there hacking our accounts. So we have to be knowledgeable about what it is, what it means, and what I can do to protect myself. And this is still financial literacy because if they get in your bank account, and get your money, damage your credit, all those good things we've already talked about. So we can see how this session today still fills in with the financial literacy and education. Next slide. So protecting your identity during COVID, you want to be extra careful during this time to make sure that you're protecting your identity. So you can even go as far as freezing things on your credit account through Experian, but you want to be looking at your bank statements every month. Don't just put them in the drawer. Don't just assume everything is okay. These are different times. So I just want to make sure that I really make that very impressionable, because we do have to do things a little bit different. We're living in different times. Next slide. Okay, so I won't read all this in its entirety, but 1 million of Americans are victims of fraud or identity theft each year. No matter where you live or how old you are, you may someday be affected by these crimes. So identity theft and fraud are crimes. Understanding what identity theft is and what you can do to protect your personal information is part of becoming financial literate. So identity theft happens when a person uses or tries to use someone else's sensitive personal information to commit fraud. This could be a stranger, someone you even know. So don't think it can't happen in your own house. They could use your name, address, your phone number, email address, a bank account, social security numbers, other information that belongs to you. The people who steal this personal information can harm you by buying things using your existing accounts as your bank or your credit cards, or by opening new accounts while pretending to be you. The trouble is, because the creditors think you've made the purchases, those bills will impact you. So I'll stop on that one. Just be cognitive to always look at your credit report. You can get those right now. You can get a free one every week at the annualcreditreport.com. They're allowing us during COVID to get one every week. You can just peep on it every week, or you can do it monthly at the beginning of the month just to see if anything has changed, because if someone's opening an account, it will show up on your credit most times. And I would just pick one each month. I'm going to do Experian, TransUnion, Equifax, because different creditors report to different credit bureaus. So just because it might not be on his TransUnion, it could be on your Experian. So make sure you're looking at all three of those from time to time. So often victims of identity theft don't even know their identity has been stolen. Sometimes we don't even know what's happening to us. So it's important to protect your identity, so this doesn't happen. So it doesn't happen to you, so that you don't lose your money while you're asleep. So next slide, and you can always report that over to the Federal Trade Commission, and we'll do a little bit more details about that later on. So we're going to deter, detect, defend. We're going to avoid ID theft. So we're going to go ahead and watch a very short little YouTube video. Don't take a nap, some good information.
Let me know if this is showing, because this is a new try here for this. First of all, can you all see that? Beverly?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay. Could you hear it?
I haven't seen the link. I haven't seen when you've opened it.
It hasn't opened.
No, but it's running now. Can you see it and hear it? Because if not, I need to do something else.
No, we can't see it nor hear it.
No problem at all then. Hang on. Let me stop sharing that. And let me share this instead.
Somebody took it away from me in the blink of an eye. In less than a month, this woman destroyed what I had worked for 15 years.
I mean, your credit score is basically all you have.
I was mugged. They got my information.
It can really negatively affect your life.
Then they went off with the information and basically became me.
I feel it's a loss of control, that someone's out there pretending to be you and doing things in your name that can come back to haunt you.
Somebody was using my name and all my personal data.
They'd done it all. I just didn't even know where to start. They had
a long record.
It's a terrible feeling.
Identity theft. It happens when your personal information is stolen and used without your knowledge. It's a serious crime that can cost you time and money, ruin your credit, and destroy your good name.
When I was a victim of identity theft, my mail had been stolen.
I was shopping at a grocery store and someone took my wallet.
I think I made a purchase and they stole all my debit card information.
My briefcase had been tampered with, and when I looked in it, I saw that my passport and my driver's license, which I had in there, had been taken.
Identity theft happens when someone takes information about you and then uses it to commit fraud.
Identity theft is very serious.
We know that identity fraud in its various forms has affected 10 million people in any given year. And what that means in dollars is that it's a loss to businesses of about $50 billion. On top of that, victims of identity theft have spent $5 billion trying to undo this harm. Everyone needs to be conscious that identity theft is real.
When you get news that your identity has been potentially stolen, it's sort of this open-ended problem that has occurred, and you don't know what's going to come of it.
No one's immune, which isn't to say that we're powerless. There's a lot we can do to deter, detect, and defend ourselves. My identity was stolen when I was mugged. It is pretty traumatic, especially how it happened to me. They got my information and it happened. Then they went off with the information and basically became me when they went to charging items in stores.
Identity thieves can only take advantage of you if you give them information or if they obtain information about you. So what you want to do is take steps to make it less likely that your information falls into the wrong hands. There are many ways that you can do that. And the first is to stop and look in your wallet. What are you carrying around? And if you lose your wallet, are you giving somebody else an opportunity to commit identity theft? So avoid carrying around any identification that has your social security number on it in your wallet, because that can be used very easily and efficiently by identity thieves.
They could have your name, they could have your birth date, but if they don't have your social security number, they're not going to get very far. But all they really need is a social security number, and they can misspell your name and still get credit.
The only place that social security card number should be is in your head and protected somewhere at home where you keep your other valuables.
And if someone asks you to provide a social security number, ask them why they need it, how they're going to keep it, how they're going to safeguard it, because you don't want that number to fall into the wrong hands.
I had an incident that I thought was a valid reason to give out information until they asked for my social security number. I went as far as the first 3 digits. I thought, gee, they don't need that. And then I hung up.
This is a crime. You have to think when you're at home, protect your identity. Don't leave around your personal documents, your date of birth. Somebody could come into your home and have immediate access to that information.
You also have to be careful about your trash. Now, a lot of people routinely receive things in the mail, maybe bank statements, credit card statements, or health insurance forms, and if they don't need them, they just throw them away in the trash. They shouldn't do that. Everyone should invest in a shredder. So before they dispose of these critical documents, you shred them. Identity thieves, don't worry about getting their hands dirty. They will go through your trash to retrieve these documents. They go where the information is. They'll steal your mail, they will steal your trash, they'll steal your wallet, and that's how they get information about you.
Deter identity theft. Protect your social security number. Shred financial documents and paperwork with any personal information before you throw them out. Never give out personal information on the phone or internet unless you know who you are dealing with.
My name is Nicole M. Robinson. The woman who stole my identity, her name is Nicole A. Robinson. She stole my information from the pharmaceutical company that she worked for. After this happened, it devastated my financial life. I ordered my credit reports, and I received a credit report in the mail that was 54 pages long. It had over 170 accounts. 140 of them were in collections. It had 42 different names and 65 different addresses on it. Not only was somebody else reaping the benefits of my good credit, I could no longer have access to my own good credit. And I cried every day for 3 months.
On top of the financial and the time that people spend in resolving these issues, it's an emotional burden on victims.
My life before the identity theft case was wonderful. In less than a month, this woman destroyed what I had worked for 15 years. She got my life.
If an identity thief uses, for example, your social security number and applies for new credit in your name, as opposed to raiding an existing account, there may be no way for you to know about it
unless you've checked your credit report and you see that a new account that you didn't even know about has been opened in your name. That's why it's very important to monitor your credit report regularly.
Detect identity theft. Check your credit report at annualcreditreport.com. Federal law gives you the right to a free credit report every year from the 3 national consumer reporting companies. Review your financial accounts regularly. Look for charges you did not make.
When someone realizes that they're a victim of identity theft, it's like getting a kick in the gut. You feel paralyzed for a moment, but it's really essential for victims to move quickly and deliberately in starting to resolve the problems that arise from identity theft.
I did what everybody knows to do, and that's call your credit card companies and cancel your credit cards. However, that's not enough. There was one major bit of information I did not have, and that was to call the 3 major credit bureaus. And I did not do that. And what happened was this person then went back. She was able to reopen the credit cards that I canceled. She was also able to open new credit cards in my name.
If you find you've become a victim of identity theft, the first thing you need to do is contact one of the 3 major credit reporting agencies and have them put a fraud alert on your file.
You got to take it seriously. You even suspect it, you got to put fraud alerts on. You got to take the steps to protect yourself, and you got to inform yourself about what to do so that when it does happen to you, you can do it quickly because time is critical.
You next want to contact each of the creditors or other institutions where your information has been misused. Then you follow up in writing and dispute these accounts and get a letter from them resolving these disputed fraudulent accounts.
The FTC has an affidavit, which in my case I used to write out your explanation of what happened that you can then use to submit to creditors trying to collect on fraudulent accounts. When you're trying to tell them, look, my identity was stolen, it helps prove it to them.
You next want to contact your local police department, report the crime, and get a copy of the police report.
You should contact the police immediately, because otherwise you have no proof that there was a crime.
It's very important that you report it to the police because there are certain agencies that you need or we recommend that you contact, and they're probably going to refer you back to the police department to see if you have a police report or not.
And finally, you need to contact the Federal Trade Commission online at ftc.gov/ID theft or call us toll-free at 877-ID-THEFT to report this to us.
Defend against identity theft. Call the 3 credit reporting companies and place a fraud alert on your credit report. Then ask for the free credit report you're entitled to. Close any accounts that you suspect have been tampered with or opened fraudulently. Start by calling the security or fraud department of each company. Follow up in writing and include copies of supporting documents. File a police report. Contact the FTC. Your information also helps law enforcement officials across the country to track down and stop ID thieves.
Let's treat our personal information as we would our cash. Let's safeguard it, whether we're at home, whether it's in our purse or our wallet, or at our office.
Your personal information is cash, and in the wrong hands, it could destroy your life.
The FTC plays a central role in helping victims avoid and recover from identity theft. So we have developed substantial consumer education material that's available on our website at ftc.gov/ID theft.
Identity theft is serious, but even if your identity has been stolen and there has been, fraudulent accounts open to your name, you can defend yourself and get those resolved in your favor.
There are times when you just do not want to finish and you just want to say, forget it, I can't do this anymore. But you have to find that way inside of you to just keep going, because this is something that if you don't clear, it definitely affects the rest of your life.
What I want is for us to create a culture of security for our personal information so that this crime in the future will be diminished greatly.
All right, that was quite powerful. Hopefully you all gained some information from that. So I'm just going to open up if anybody have any questions about the ID theft. We can go ahead with that next slide while people, if anybody wants to share it, anybody ever been subject to fraudulent in any way with their identity?
I can share something that happened to me in the last month or so, and it's kind of funny. It would be funny if it wasn't serious. Got an email from a guy, and he actually knew that I was a real estate agent, and he asked me if he could I could help him find a house. And I said, sure. I said, I'm an agent, and I asked him what his criteria was. And then he told me what kind of house he wanted. So I sent him some ideas. He texted me back and said, I'm from South Africa. First of all, red flag right there. Number one. He said, I'm from South Africa and I'm being persecuted. So I'm looking to move to the U.S. and I'm happy I found someone I could trust. Number two, you don't know me. You trust me already. So, and by the way, I'm gonna step out of 1 and 2. I should have stopped right there. And the reason why, and I'll say this to you all right now, these folks are smarter than us. And many times we want to play this game with them, and we don't realize they're actually getting information, but they are professionals at doing this. So number one, don't do what I did. I actually knew this was a con man, but I was curious. Don't do that. I should have just stopped, but I kept going. And he didn't explain. I actually have a Facebook account, but I don't use it. I typically keep it where it's inactive. But you may remember a few Sundays back, there was an issue with the church being displayed on YouTube. So I went to Facebook to actually go out there and show the church the church sermon on Facebook, which means now my Facebook account is active. And evidently they went online very quickly because his conversation changed the very next day. God bless you, my brother. The Lord keep thee. He was using all the Christian terms. And I looked and said, something, in that one day, he's gone to Facebook. He's learned a little bit more about me. He's trying to use this stuff. I'm being persecuted from my Christian police. Please help me. And again, foolishly, I kept going on. By the way, that's number 3. He learns about me, and then he goes off and starts doing something. Then he finally comes and says, I've told you about me. Please tell me about yourself. Are you married? What's your address? He wanted personal information. Yes, but it was so nice. It was so sweet. It was so subtle. And what really made me laugh was that, my Facebook account was open for 1 day. You go to Facebook right now, you won't find me. But in the 1 day, it was open just to show the Main Street sermon. He looked on that page. He saw Main Street. He saw pictures of me in church, and you should have seen the change. Oh, my brother, God bless thee. I'm being persecuted for this and that. And the point is that these folks are very smart. Don't play with them because it's their intention to steal your information. Of course, I stopped right then, but I should have stopped a lot sooner because I knew it was a trick. But again, I'm thinking I'm smart. I'm playing along. Don't do that. When you know it's a trick, leave it alone.
Awesome. Anybody else got anything to share or have questions about ID theft? Okay.
I don't know whether or not it was an ID thing, but I had an offer from my home bank to refinance. And the agent reached out to me. I did not contact the bank to do this. And when he reached out to me, he wanted to come by and start showing me figures. And I said, well, first of all, kind of where do you know me from? Oh, well, I'm here and I'm an officer here in the bank. And I said, okay, thank you very much. I'm going to hang up. You call back and leave your information on my machine. Okay? Which he never did. Mm-hmm. I got the name. I called the bank. I went to the bank and asked, is this an agent or not an agent? No, Miss Smith, we don't know this name. Thank you. That's all I needed. So that quelched that.
Very fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in the end on both of these things, you almost need to kind of go ahead and report these things, especially if you have a phone number. Go ahead and report it to the FTC, because that way they can follow through and kind of get some of these, fraudsters off the street, because they're rapid.
Okay.
They're rapid, yeah. So next time if something like that happens, just take that number, information, and share it with the FTC.
Well, the thing is, he'll leave a number, and if you call back that number, it's already been disconnected.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's a whole different number.
Yeah,
Yes.
totally different number.
All right. Thanks for sharing.
Hey, Beverly.
Donna?
I had put in the chat about Malachi's identity being taken and used. Some guy had, I don't know how he got his information, but he had charged almost $4,000. We assumed it was a credit card, and it had been written off. And the only reason we knew that this had happened was we had decided to move the kids' little savings accounts to one of our other banks, and that it came back, it flagged as soon as she entered Malachi's social that he had this written off account, and it was with Bank of America.
Wow.
And they actually have the name of the guy, Yeah, it was 2 years ago. And a couple of years ago, I actually, when they were making a big deal about not sharing your socials, I had started just giving the last four of their socials for like school, how you fill out all the paperwork for their schooling. I was only using the last four, and with doctor's offices and stuff, but I didn't know if I should even use that, because they were saying that no one should ask you for your social. So I figured with school, it's a lot of eyes that can see these children's information, and same with doctor's offices. So evidently they had gotten it from one of those places, I would assume.
Right, especially with school, they should have that already on file. So if I were you, I'd just say it's on file. They ask for the number, it's on file, because they should be able to get that from the central records that, it's already on file. So there's some times when you can just, hold your guns. You don't have to always give in. There's other information they can ask to, identify a person. But back to that $4,000. Now that's a situation definitely, the FTC or the credit bureaus, they could look into for you. Did you do anything else with that?
I did go online and filled out the identity theft. So listening to you all today, I'm also going to file a police report because I had not done that, and do take more steps, because I don't really know exactly what all he's done in his name. And I mean, it's just crazy. He just turned 14.
Did you try to see if you could pull a credit report? I know he's still a minor child, so I'm not sure what age they start issuing, but if there's an account and a social use, that should be a credit report, so you can look and see if that's the only thing they did do. So if you have any other questions or want to talk further about that, get with me and Deacon Moore, and we'll be able to hopefully direct you a little bit more. So we'll move on to the next slide. Well, thank you all for sharing. All right, so how can I protect my identity? It's just some of the same things that were in the video, so this is just kind of a typed up version in case somebody wants to go back to it and not listen through the video. So talking about at home, you should lock up your socials, you should shred those important documents and take mail out of the mailbox as soon as you can. And this is one I speak on a little bit more. So as we travel, when we have gone in the past on trips, we always stop our mail. So if you go out of town for a week and you leave your mail in your mailbox, it's on a city street, then you're very, very much putting yourself out there for someone else to take your mail. You told your neighbors you're traveling. Well, hey, let's go and get their mail while they're gone. So the post office will stop your mail if you're going to be away for at least 3 days. And then that way you don't have to worry about someone getting your mail while you're gone. Also, as you do business, only give social security numbers if you must, and do not give your personal information to someone who calls you on email. And the next one on the computer, and this is the one that's really hot and heavy now. You need to make sure that you're using passwords that are not easy to guess. Don't use your kid's name, kid's birthday, things people might be able to guess. Use things in symbols so to make it harder for a hacker to get your information. Do not respond to emails or other messages that ask for personal information. If you don't know who that is, don't do it. And do not put personal information on a computer or on a public computer. So if you go into the library, don't look at your bank statement. Just look at what you need, that's non-personal while you're there at the library. And for me, one of the things that did happen, I went and called to try to see if I can get some health insurance. Okay, I want to see if I can get health insurance, maybe leave work a little early and be able to, have my own health insurance self-pay. Well, I filled out something online, and the very next minute, it blew up. I got quotes from people, call me, I got this quote. And the next day, calls after calls after calls. That has happened now for 2 weeks. It was 2 weeks ago I did that. I'm going, dang, you can't do nothing. Everybody's on you. They see you're out there. So like Deacon Moore said, you just almost can't really. The internet is our friend, but great wide web is not always our friend. So be careful what you do. And next slide. Okay, ID theft protection plan. So this is where there is a few companies out there. There are a few companies that will give you an ID protection plan. That's something that you'll pay for, but they do a lot of things to make sure they're keeping you alerted on what's going on with your credit. And one of the biggest ones out there is Norton's LifeLock. And I think they're about $9 or $10 a month. And a lot of people use that just so, because they're going to alert you when somebody opens an account. They're going to alert you, when things are happening so that you don't have to worry quite as much. So in the top part, it just talks about, how big this is. It's from 2014 to 2015, identity theft complaints increased more than 47% due to tax identity theft complaints. So it's real. And look at the Department of Justice estimated that 17.6 million Americans were victims of identity theft in 2014. And in 2015 alone, $15 billion was stolen from identity fraud. So it's a major industry. So look at these fraudsters. They have stolen $112 billion over the last 6 years, and that was data from probably 2015, equaling a loss of $35,600 every minute. So it's really important that we really pay attention to what's going on in our identity, and if you so choose, you can check out service companies online again. But Norton's been around for a while, so that may or may not be anything that you want to do, but I just want to share to let you know there are companies that will protect that on your behalf. Next slide.
But before we move forward, and I say this because I know there are some seniors on this session, and of course, being 58, I'm getting near being a senior myself here. But there were a lot of things that were said when I was younger. I'm sure you all heard them too. A man is only as good as his word, or your name means something. you know, those are statements from a time when your credit was something that you carried around with you with a handshake and things like that. You need to realize in today's world, our name is how we are electronically online. You know, so that, you know, it used to be when I was a kid, my father could go and see someone, shake his hand, the guy would see my father's face and say, yes, I know who you are. I know what's going on. That world sadly has changed now. Who you are now is actually what your credit says you are. So you gotta treat that credit report just like you would your name. I never forget when I was a kid, my father used to always say, never compromise what's right and uphold your family name. Well, your family name now is your credit.
All right. So here's some information, and these slides will be available to you, and we will continue as always up until about 11:30. So I don't want to read everything in total here. So just know some things you can do. You can look at your bank statements, look at your credit report, and some things that you can do just to make sure that you're aware of what's going on. And what should you do if you become a victim? Like in the video, it talked about, you know, contacting the Federal Trade Commission. I got the number there, contacting your local policeman. And there is also an IRS fraud line where people apply for people's taxes and get their refund money. So there's a fraud line for the IRS as well. So you can always close any suspicious accounts that you may have, and just be diligent about your credit and about your name. Next slide. Protect yourself from some scams. We got lots of scams going on, especially during the coronavirus period. Next slide. Okay, job scams are taking place during COVID. So everybody wants to be their own boss. A lot of people want to work at home. Kids may be home. Okay, I really want that opportunity. I know I can do a remote job. But there's a lot of scams in that, and we got a short video, it's a real short one on that we'll show you. So be careful, you know, when you're even out looking for jobs. You're very vulnerable if you're furloughed or if you're unemployed right now. So don't believe everything you hear or see or people tell you, especially if it's online. You have to do a little bit more research and be more mindful that everybody's not your friend right now. So when money is tight, a work at home opportunity might sound really good. So some, you know, it promise a refund, you know, if you succeed, you get the reality that, you know, these jobs, many of them are scams. That's the reality of them. So you need to be up in your paying. Yeah, many I want you to pay up front to start this. Okay, send us your money. We'll get you the certification, and we'll get you started, you know, things like that. So be careful, you know, with this again. Many times they'll find your credit card, you'll find that your credit card has been charged without your permission. So it's a lot of scams, and we'll go ahead to the video and kind of let it play, and so that you can see a little bit more of the details. Now, Deacon Moore, you might want to take this link for sure, and you might, I don't know whether you want to open it back on your web like you did the other.
Yes, I will. Hold 1 second here.
Okay, and this is a shorter video, so it shouldn't take as long.
I'm still here. Hang on 1 second. It's coming out.
Okay. Everybody wants to work from home, you know, when you can, and it's a good thing, but there are some good companies, but just be aware there are a whole lot more bad companies and schemes that are taking place.
Okay, I'm trying to make it bigger, but I cannot, but I'm gonna play it the way it is because
okay. Yeah, it doesn't, I don't think that one gets big.
Okay, hold 1 second here.
So share this with your family members, friends, or neighbors, church members, anybody that you know that's looking for employment, so that they're aware of what's going on out there as well.
Can you hear this?
The latest numbers show 36 million Americans have filed for unemployment benefits. For those looking...
Can you hear that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll start it again.
The latest numbers show 36 million Americans have filed for unemployment benefits. For those looking for a job, there's a lot of competition for any type of work from home position. It's a demand scammers are taking advantage of. The I-Team has learned scammers have everything they need to target you when you post your resume online. Here's investigative report.
Is that it, Ms. Beverly?
No, it continues.
Reporter PJ Randawa.
Well, I've been looking for quite a time now, pre-coronavirus.
Job searching can be daunting. Add a pandemic and it can be downright discouraging.
I've got my resume out on every job board, Indeed, Monster, everybody.
Kevin knew he had to be aggressive to find work. So like most job searchers, he posted his resume online.
Going back about 20 years, and it's pretty extensive.
It seemed like it paid off when a pretty good job offer landed in his inbox.
They had gotten my resume, which I never sent them, and it turned out to be an actual transportation shipping company based out of Switzerland.
Strange, perhaps, but hard to pass up.
$4,000 a month, 5% commission, but it kind of looks legitimate, you know? I mean, they actually had a website set up.
This is where things might sound familiar. Kevin took the job and was mailed a check for several $1,000s, his pay and a little extra. He was asked to deposit the check and mail the remainder back to the company.
And lo and behold, what happens is that you deposited a fake check because people are so desperate and they need a job so bad, they tend to let their guard down.
Michelle Corey, president of the St. Louis Better Business Bureau, says this fake check ploy is not necessarily a new scam, but it's especially effective right now.
Nationwide, Better Business Bureaus have received about 3,200 employment scams. Now, many of those are from this area. We have reports from people losing anywhere from like $5,000 to $3,000. And many of these scams come in the form of an unsolicited email.
Corey warns there's also information in your resume that's valuable to scammers.
They'll send you an application form to complete. And then with that application form, they usually want personal financial information. So then you're putting yourself forward to possibly be a victim of identity theft.
I knew it was a scam.
Kevin quit, and just like millions of other people, he's still looking for a job. He hopes others will learn from his mistake. He did.
Don't fall for it just because it's a recognizable name. But again, if someone offers you a job without doing background check, with requesting payment of some sort, it's probably a scam.
For the I-Team, PJ Randawa, 5 on your side.
All right, and we're going to look at this other little short one, spot the scams.
Okay, if you can't hear it, somebody say something.
Okay.
Work from home jobs offer a lot of flexibility, but the remote job market is also full of scams. My name is Bree Reynolds, and I'm the Senior Career Specialist at FlexJobs, a job search site that identifies, screens, and posts legitimate remote jobs. And I'm here to talk to you about how to identify whether or not a job posting is a legitimate remote job, with 5 key things to look for. So let's get started. The first is never pay for a job or a company to interview you for a remote job. Oftentimes scammers will ask you to pay money up front in order to land their supposed remote job. And they often do that in terms of asking you to pay for equipment or software or training that you need to land this supposed remote job. Legitimate companies do not ask you to pay for things like that, and they will not ask you to invest in some way to get the job. They are going to either provide you with specific equipment or tell you what the equipment is that you need, but they are not going to ask you to pay for your training or to pay for some software that you need, or even to pay to secure your role in their company. So that's a big red flag, is to never pay a fee to a job or a company to get one of their jobs. The next thing is to watch out for companies that don't do phone or video interviews. Remote jobs are real jobs, the ones that are legitimate. They will do real job interviews. They're going to be interviewing you over the phone or video. In some cases, they're interviewing you in person, but very seldom will they actually interview you over instant messenger or online chat. A lot of scammers, however, will interview you that way. And so it's really important, if you're presented with an opportunity to interview that way, to do a lot of research on that company and that job before you jump onto that interview. There are a handful of companies that I've heard of that do interviews this way, like Amazon for their online chat support jobs, and also Automatic, because most of the work that that company does is over online chat. When they're working together as a team. But other than that, there are maybe a handful that I've heard of, and the rest of them are usually scammers offering people to do instant messenger interviews. One of the key ways that you can tell is when you jump on the instant messenger interview, you are offered the job really quickly. You're not actually asked a lot of real job interview questions about your qualifications or your skills, and you're also usually urged to accept the job very fast. They don't want you to think about it, they want you to just act. So watch out for those instant messenger interviews and try to stick with companies that do phone and video interviews for remote jobs, or at the very least, do your research before hopping onto those online chat interviews. The next thing is to look at a detailed job description. You want to see a detailed job description for a remote job. That's a sign that it's legitimate. Those real remote jobs will offer you key things that you need to know, just like any other job. The qualifications, the requirements, the preferred requirements, things like that, the skills that you need, and they'll actually describe the actual work that you're going to be doing. A scam job will give you a very vague job description. They will talk a lot about the benefits of the job and what it has to offer you in terms of money and little work for lots of money, small schedules, things like that. So it's really important to pay attention to the job description, and if you see something that's very vague or that doesn't really describe the work that you'd be doing, or if it has lots of grammatical errors or exclamation points and dollar signs and strange punctuation, or it's talking about the salary information and all of that, but it's not talking about what you would actually be doing, that's a big red flag. The fourth thing I wanted to mention is researching the companies that you want to apply for. This is really important. It's really easy to figure out if you're dealing with a potential scam by searching for the word scam and the company or job title. You will come up with news stories, FBI and FTC reports, Better Business Bureau ratings, and even online chat from other people who may have been scammed by this type of job or company. So it's really important to do a very simple search to make sure that you're keeping yourself safe and staying away from those scams. And then the next thing is, if you do come in contact with the company and you're talking to someone at that company, ask a lot of questions. Ask them, why did this position become available? And what are the key qualifications? What are they looking for in this type of person? Ask them about their actual company. How long have you been in business? Who are some of your clients? Anything that will give you more details or that will kind of scare the scammer because they don't have answers to your questions. And so it's important to do that sort of questioning if you're a little bit concerned that you might have a scam, because that can help you identify for sure if it is a scam or not. Just remember in this process to trust your gut and listen to your instincts. So many times when I talk to people who have been scammed, they'll say that there was some point in the process where they didn't feel right about things, something was strange, the way the recruiter was acting or the way the company was difficult to find online, but they kept going because they wanted to get a job and they wanted to believe it was true. And so for yourself, if you have those gut feelings that something's not right, stop and do some research and walk away if you need to. There are plenty of real remote jobs out there, and it's far better to walk away from one that you're not really sure about, whether it could be a scam or a legitimate job, and go and find one that is really a true remote job that is not a scam. So that's what you need to do. Trust your gut, and remember, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. I'm Bree Reynolds with Flex Jobs.
Okay. All right. So you can see those scams are everywhere. And again, here is the phone number to contact the FTC. So if you spend any money and time at a work at home program and I believe it's not legitimate, you still can go ahead and file with the FTC. So don't take that for granted. It's easy to get caught in that and not know that you are being scammed. Next slide. Okay, so scams involving our social security numbers. And if you can hit the here button, click on that for me.
Okay, I'm gonna have to reshare that.
Okay.
You all see that?
We ain't got it. We sit on the main screen, so.
Oh, 1 second then. Let me stop sharing there
Alrighty.
and reshare here.
Okay. Okay, so some scams involving your social security numbers and the benefits are on the rise. So here's some facts. Government employees will not threaten to take away your benefits or ask for money or gift cards or personal information to protect your social security number or benefits. So they're not going to be doing that. Scammers can fake your caller ID, so don't be fooled if the call seems to be from the SSA or the SSA Inspector General's office. So there is a fraud hotline for them as well, so don't be just thinking, oh, it's SSA, it's Social Security calling. It could be a scam. So if a caller asks for your Social Security number, your bank account number, or credit card information, just hang up, because you know that you shouldn't give that out, and Social Security already have that information. Next slide. Okay, so this just kind of, can you hear me?
Yes.
No, this just talks about calls that are coming to you claiming to be the Social Security Administration. So just know the scammers will be calling, and be sure not to give them your information. Social Security will never call to threaten you at all, and don't trust what you see on your caller ID. And that was all in that little last video slide. So this is a little bit data in case you have to just print what you have there. Next slide. Okay, there are scams for us grandparents when it comes to our grandkids. So you want to spoil your grandkids, but not the scammers. So let's see if that one opens.
Okay, hold 1 second. Let me stop here and reshare here.
Okay, so beware of scammers pretending to be your grandchild, a relative, or a friend. Often they claim to be in trouble. So they're saying, okay, Zoe's in trouble, Pat, send us money, he's in jail, he's stranded, so know for sure, that could be a scam wanting you to send money because you love that grandson of yours, and they want you to feel like, hey, they have your grandson there and they want you to send money. So you need to find out, don't panic, just take a deep breath and get the facts, and don't send any money. Oftentimes they ask for gift cards. So you think gift cards as a ransom for my grandson? So it doesn't make sense why they asking for a gift card. So you can almost guarantee if you get a call like that, it's a scam. So you just need to hang up immediately and call the FTC, to let them know that that's going on. Next slide. So that's kind of a review of that one that we just talked about. Next slide. Okay, there are some other scammers out there also. You will get people knocking at your door. There'll be contractors. There'll be people, that want to do work for you. They know your home. They want to show you that they can do this and that for you. Oftentimes are scams. And there's scams when it comes to, okay, we're going to do a dinner or lunch meal for you. Come out. And usually it's something at the end. They're not going to give you that good meal for nothing. There's either, it's going to be a timely seminar in many cases. And they're going to pressure you to buy or get involved in whatever they have going. And the one that I'll talk about even more is that tech support. How many of you have ever gotten a call? Go to your computer. Go to your computer. I need you to log in. I need you to log in on your computer. You got the virus. You got the virus. We need you to log in. And people have fallen, to that scam. They've gone in. They've gotten your bank account information. They've taken over your computer remotely in many cases. and has stolen your personal data. And that one was really, really heavy for a very, very long time. I haven't heard many people getting scammed that way lately, but I do have one of the family members that did. And he was older, so he's just like, okay, all right, you need me to log in. You know, he's new to computers, so he was able to log in, and then they told me that they were able to get his money. So click that little here and see if that one opens up. That may or may not.
1 second here.
Okay. I think it's just going to kind of be a little review. And go to the second page. And make them a little bit bigger. So those contractors that I talked about, if someone knocks on your door with an offer to work on your home at a discount, it could be a scam. Often these scam orders charge more than your quoted price. And sometimes they don't even finish the project. They want the money up front, and then you never see them again. So be careful, you know, with that one. And then the free meals or the free lunch, you're invited to hear a pitch from, you know, for an investment in exchange for a free meal. You'll likely get pressured to participate. Remember, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And then with the ID theft, when credit cards or bank accounts are opened in your name without your permission, check your bank and credit card statements and your credit report on a regular basis. Next slide. Okay, romance scam. Have anybody ever had a romance scam? All right, can you click the romance scam, see if that one opens?
Hold 1 second here.
Sure, okay. Look at those two lovebirds, that romance scam. Okay. Guard your wallet as well as your heart. Right now, people are in more, people are not able to see friends and family, and we may be a little bit more gullible to, you know, a romance scam. Some people are single and by themselves and maybe not have any companion, but be real careful because this romance scam is real. So this happens when someone shows an interest and they, oh, I love you, but they really, really just want your money. So you need to be careful to make sure that you don't fall scam to that. So be on the lookout for this romance scam. So a new love who lives far away asks you to wire their money or share your credit card number with them, even if they say they'll pay you back. With many other sites too, there are many dating sites out there, and many times people are meeting people online, and you better believe oftentimes people are not who they say they are. And you know, you've talked to them several times and all of a sudden you think you know this person, but be real, real careful because they may ask you for personal information and may not have your best interest in mind. So your new romantic interest asks you to sign a document that will give them control of your finances or of your home. Your new sweetheart asks you to open a new joint account or sign a loan with them. Yeah, so keep going down a little bit further. And your new little darling asks for access to your bank or credit card accounts. You know, be real careful. Times are real different. Many of us are home and many of us are home alone, but don't fall prey to these scams out there. So you still want to report these things to the FTC. So you don't want to be my dollar sign. Be my dollar sign, kiss me, the gold mine, the give me I love you dollar, you know. So be real careful because we can fall prey to these things, not thinking, you know, clearly, you know, at certain times. So just wanted to share that with you. Next slide.
You know, this might be funny if this wasn't going on with someone that I don't personally know, but I'm aware of right now. My brother called me about 3 weeks ago, and a family friend who's a female is in jail right now because she got involved with some romance scam, and somehow multiple checks of about $10,000 were cashed. And the guy is gone. She never met the guy. He was someone she met online, but somehow he convinced her to actually do this several times. And what's bad is that if she had done it one time, they would have probably thought that she was, you know, suckered in some way. But since it happened multiple times over several weeks, they assume that she's actually one of the main players. And she's in jail right now. So that's real.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I kind of thought it was kind of real, but you know, you never know what really goes on. But thanks for sharing that. Next slide. So how to know if it's a scam? Promises of a big income working from home, especially when the opportunities involve an upfront fee. So it's going back to that job scam. So you can know not to do anything with your credit card and to always report that to the FTC. Next slide. And there are some other scams, and this one is a little bit different. It should be just a link to our internet page. So we'll go through it. Okay, so over back to our emails. Our emails are like dangerous. Your email can be hacked so easily. I had that happen with my Amazon account. What they do, they change my password. They have access to my email. Emails are dangerous. You know, they're good. We got to have them, but we have to limit what information we put on those online accounts, because if they get your email, they change your password. Now they're changing my password to Amazon. Now they have all, you know, my bank account information. So that kind of happened to me. So I had to go through and cancel a credit card, a debit card that was actually online for purchases. They purchased a new cell phone for me, you know, while I was asleep. I got an email the next morning. Oh, your package is on the way. I'm going, huh? I didn't order anything. So be careful with your email on those accounts. Unfortunately, we're having to do more business online. So what I did yesterday, I went and got me some Amazon gift cards so that I can use them. It was zero cost from them at Kroger's. And now when I have to do an Amazon purchase, I will use my Amazon gift card. And then I will make sure I don't over-exceed. I go leave that balance to about $0 on that card and just use my Amazon. We're having to use more online services because that's where we are now. So be careful with that and scroll on down.
Hey, Beverly.
Yes, ma'am.
Beverly.
Yes, ma'am.
Before you move on, before you move on that one, a lot of times those are actual scams as well. Is that they'll send to your email that your package is on the way or whatever, and you'll click on it, and they can steal your information that way too. It'll look just like it comes from PayPal and different ones, and you know that you didn't order anything, and the second you click on it, they get your information. Yeah.
It's a dangerous place to be right now, but unfortunately, that's the world that we're living in. So you have to try to do things that are going to work best for you, and just, you know, unknown emails and things, they do say don't even click on them. You know, everybody wants to, once you click in, they got you in their little system kind of thing. So we have to be real careful with that. How you know you've been hacked? You might have been hacked if your friends and family are getting emails or messages that you didn't send. Your social media accounts have posts that you didn't make. Even with Facebook, they would change your email there. I mean, they would change your password, get a hold of your whole site, and start posting stuff that's not things that you would post. It's dangerous. Okay, what do you do when you've been hacked? What should you do? Make sure your security software is up to date. So there's a lot of what's called malware. So if you don't have security software, you need to get it. But install security software only from reputable, well-known companies. Then run it to scan your computer for viruses and spareware, which is known as malware. Delete any suspicious software and restart your computer. I have that on my computer, and it runs, and it lets me know if there's any malware, any viruses, or anything I need to know about. So that's always key to have that on your computer. Set your security software, internet browser, and operating system like your Windows to update automatically. So make sure you're getting the latest updates on your browsers and your operating system. Change your emails. Yeah, so oftentimes that's another security protection. Just go in and change your emails.
Password, you mean?
Hey, I'm sorry. Change your password. Thank you. Check the advice your email provider, social networking site has about restoring your account. Oftentimes you do have to get a account restored. So you want to make sure you're with the right people when you do that you're not with a prankster, and always go to the source. Don't click on things and think they're going to change it there. Like Sister Smith went to the bank, her bank, where she has a relationship. So deal on with people that you should be dealing with. Check your account settings. Tell your friends, if they get fake information from you or something that didn't look like you might have sent to them, to let you know. If they say they got an email that didn't look like what you were sending, to be sure to let you know. On up a little bit. So what to do before you're hacked? You want to use unique passwords for important sites like your bank and your email account. So make it as strong password as possible. Be sure to use characters, letters, numbers, small and caps and large caps, so that you try to, do something that no one else is going to be able to replicate. And oftentimes you need to go in and change that password. I know I don't like doing that, but sometimes that's a good thing, because it keeps people from hacking your account. Almost you have to have a log of passwords. I mean, we got so many emails and so many accounts that we have to have passwords for. So it's very time consuming, but it's very bad if someone hacks one of your accounts. So you have to take those necessary precautions to make sure that you're protecting your passwords. And some companies now, like Amazon, they have this two-factor authentication, so that now they'll send me a text to make sure that it's me on my cell phone before they allow me to get in, and then I have to put in a 6-digit code. So that many companies are going to doing that as well. Down a little bit further. Okay. So don't click on links or other attachments in your email unless you know who sent them and why they're coming to you. So it's a lot of things out there, like Donna pointed out. You click on it, then they got you. So be real careful not to just go and, oh, let me check my emails. Is this something I should be getting? You have to evaluate. You have to stop and not always just open them all up. Download free software only from sites you know and trust. Oftentimes we want the latest apps, we want the Cash app, we want this app. Be real careful when you're even adding apps to your phone and downloading sites on your computer. And don't treat the public computer like your personal computer. Like again we said, don't go to the library and check your bank accounts. Next slide. We got about five more minutes here, so we're so here it just talks about, and you have access to this if you want to be added to the Do Not Call registry. There is a way that you can, protect your cell phone numbers on that, and go to the next slide so you have that information. And go back 2 slides. Go back. Yeah, and on this, one more forward. Next one.
What you said? Here?
Yeah, right there. Okay, so stopping unsolicited mail, phone calls, and emails. How many of you get those credit card offers as insurance offers to buy insurance? I mean, you can get those so much in your mail every day, and that's just it's a headache. But if you don't shred that, someone else can be applying for accounts in your name, changing their address, you never know about it. So you can ask to be removed from those kind of mailings if you don't want to be bothered with that every day in your mail. So that's 2 ways. You can opt out for a 5-year period, or you can opt out permanently. So there are ways to do that so that you don't have to have those credit card offers, insurance offers, mail, and coming to you, phone calls. So take advantage of that too as well. Next slide. I think we'll go 2 up. Next one. How to deal with fraud. We're almost at the end, so we'll play this real short video here.
Hey everyone, welcome to Guiding You Forward podcast presented by Mountain America Credit Union. And today we're going to talk about money mule scams. And with us is Rob Wolhoff. Hello, Rob.
Hi, Kristalina. How are you doing?
Doing so good. Thank you for joining us today. And
My pleasure.
so all of you know, Rob is the VP of Fraud for Mountain America Credit Union, and we're excited to learn more about what's called a money mule scam.
When someone falls for a money mule scam, they are being convinced to move money that is bad or fictitious, and to move it into good or legitimate funds. And money mule scams are kind of like Baskin Robbins. There's 31 flavors, right? There's all different types of flavors that people try to, or fraudsters try to get people to get involved in these money mule scams. For example, they can say, well, you've won the lottery, or I have access to these special grants or these loans, or if we tie it directly into COVID-19, hey, I can get you an advance on your stimulus money.
Oh no.
And so they say that, you know, whatever the justification is, a grant or a loan or stimulus money or an investment or an inheritance, whatever justification they put to it, the bottom line is that they say, well, we need you to send us money first, but don't worry, we're going to send you money so that you can send us money. And that's the really, really big flag. And if our listeners don't remember anything else from this podcast, remember this, that if someone sends you money and then asks you to send that money somewhere else, fraud, categorically. Do not pass go, do not collect 200. It's just not going to end well. So another thing that they use is, and this is going to be particularly applicable in the circumstances that we're in right now in COVID-19, is work from home jobs. And these are jobs where maybe they want you to do a secret shopper, or they want you to take a survey, or you can earn money by just taking links online. Any of those types of things, anything like that. And they say, well, I'm going to send you money, and then I want you to go to Western Union, and I want you to secret shop Western Union, or I'm going to send you money and I want you to secret shop Apple Cash or Venmo or Square Cash or any other money transfer app, and then they send you money. But the problem is that the money that they are sending you is bad. And usually what they're asking...
bad? Does money go bad? I guess I'm confused a little bit here.
Yeah, it's a great question. So when I say bad, I mean counterfeit. So what's going to happen is you're in lockdown and you're browsing the internet looking for a way to earn extra cash because you've been furloughed or laid off from your job and you can't go into work. Many people are in that situation right now. So you start browsing the internet, or you post out on social media, hey, I'm looking for a work for home opportunity, and you get a private message from somebody that says, hey, I got a great opportunity for you, and all I need is your username and password to your financial institution's mobile app. And then I can deposit money into your account, and then I need you to process payroll for my company. And so I'm going to deposit money into your personal account, and then you're going to process payroll, and I want you to send payroll out to my employees through Venmo or Square Cash, right? Okay. And so, number one, a legitimate company is not going to ask you to use your own bank account in order to do anything. And that's the second flag, is that if somebody, whether it's a work from home opportunity or it's a loan or a grant or a secret shop or whatever it may be, if they ask you for your username and password to anything, it's fraud. It's just categorically, if someone asks you for your username and your password, it's fraud. So that's another big hint. Now,
we never need to get paid by giving people our username and password.
Correct.
Right? Yeah. We're the mule, right? We're the one carrying the load, essentially, of this bad money for these fraudsters to essentially make it legal.
Yeah, well, and you're gonna be the one left holding the bag.
In review, if someone sends you money and requests that you send it elsewhere, it's fraud. Don't do it. Additionally, a legitimate company will never ask you for your personal login information. If anyone is asking you for your username and password, it's fraud. Now, if you feel like you've become a victim of fraud, it's important to act fast. Reach out to your financial institution immediately. Be sure to lock your accounts, freeze your credit, and change your passwords. To prevent future fraud, set up fraud alerts, check your accounts weekly, and finally, check your credit report at minimum annually. Stay safe, everyone.
Okay, we'll go down to the next couple of
Hey,
slides.
I do want to point out that that is why the family friend is in jail. That's the scam that got her right there, and she's in jail now because she did it multiple times.
Wow. All right, well, thank you for sharing that. All right, so how to spot financial fraud or elder abuse. So even in our own families, there is potential. Someone stealing mama's money, someone had mama's money transferred to their account. So this just gives you a list, money's missing from, so just look at that list of all the things that can happen that's too is fraudulent, but it happens in our own homes with our elder family members. So just be real cognitive of all these things here. Giving new, somebody, all of a sudden, Granny's got a new friend. Granny's got this new best friend, and Granny's money is short every month, and they don't know why Granny's not paying her bills. So it's another scam, and it's another fraudulent activities that are taking place. So be mindful of those, and you have an opportunity to read all those in detail if you want to do that. Next slide. And we all know about the mail fraud, so be sure to make sure that you're not tossing out things with your account numbers on them and not going into those credit card offers. Be sure, if you don't want to be bothered, be sure to cancel that. Next slide. We'll keep going to the next one. All right, so now we'll go to the question and answer. We're right at about 11:31 or so, 11:32. Does anyone have any questions for us today over any of our past sessions or anything from today's information that we could answer for you? No? Okay. All right. So if you have anything, just let us know. We're always available, and you'll be able to ask individual. So on this bottom half of this slide, you just want to see what kind of future topic ideas that you all may be interested in. Home ownership. I've been a mortgage lender for 12 years through banking, so we could do that. And Deacon Moore is a realtor, so you want to know about the benefits and requirements of being a homeowner. Understand home ownership, understanding my options for financing a home and how to get down payment money, and what are the benefits of working with a realtor. Understand your mortgage refinancing, like Sister Smith was talking about, what's real, and you want to have some honest, open information before you even talk to anybody, before you go do business. If nothing else, get books from the library if you can do that, or online resources, so that you can be educated before you take that step out to buy a home or to refinance a home. And understanding that reverse mortgage, that's a big topic now. Why is that a good thing, and when should you use it, and when it's not a good thing, and why you should not use it. So being able to discuss those, we could do a session on that. Or we could also look at doing some investment and in the basic stuff, because you need to have your education before you talk to your advisor. So you need to know the difference between the stocks, the bonds, the mutual funds, annuities, so you need to just have that information in hand before you go talk to what's considered your trusted advisor. So also, what is house hacking and how can it benefit you? Has anyone heard of house hacking?
No.
Okay, so what house hacking, I just learned of it this week. So say, take Sister Mina, she's a single woman, so she's by herself, she has no kids. Say Sister Mina decides, okay, I want to own a fourplex. Sister Mina she can get that fourplex as a individual owner versus being a investor. She can own up to a fourplex and get the interest rates as an individual. She can charge those other 3 people the rent money, and that kind of helps her not to pay rent. So it's a good tool to use, especially for young people. Some college students have done it, and one may have gotten a duplex. They lived on one side, and they let the buddy live on the other side, and they collect rent money from the from the buddy, and that allowed them not to have to pay rent themselves. So there's a lot of good information on house hacking. And there's if you all have some other ideas or some things that you would like us to share, and if put those in the chat box in the bottom, or if A, B, or C, if you want to talk about home ownership and refinancing, let us know that. If you want to talk about some basic investment information, or if you have some other great ideas that you want us to maybe talk about on our next session. So just put that down in the chat box, or you can let us know. I don't want to hold you too long. Deacon Moore?
So you can catch me online, just so you'll know. I did it myself back in the 80s when I first started out, and 2 of my sons are doing it right now. And it's a great way to do things, because again, you can buy a duplex, live in one half and rent the other. And the hacking thing sounds, I wish they'd given it a different name, but it's a great idea. It's a way to reduce your expenses as you live, because someone else basically helps pay your mortgage for you.
Okay, so I don't see anything in the chat box. So
do you have to live in the property though?
You have to live in it for 1 year, a minimum 1 year, and then after that,
okay.
Yeah. You have to live in it 1 year.
Okay, there's something in chat here that says, I would like to know more about reverse mortgages.
Okay.
As well as house hacking. So we can cover those topics there.
Okay. All right. So we'll do that one on our next session. If no one else has any other ideas, we'll be glad to do that. And maybe in about 3 to 4 weeks, maybe first Saturday in September. That is Labor Day. I don't even know what. Yeah, so we might do it towards the end of this month, but we'll keep you informed as to when we'll do that. And if you ever have any other ideas, just let us know. And today I just wanted to, bring some real life things that are happening right now. So I want to make our sessions meaningful. And then I never know who's going to be on the line. So, so you never know which way to go with the material. So I really appreciate you all joining in and participating, and sharing information with family, friends, and others that may benefit from it. And you should have access to the PowerPoint at some point in the next couple of days. Deacon Moore,
give me an hour, I'll put it up for you.
Okay, and if you want to refer back to any of the information, you're free to do that to get more details and review all the information again. All right, well, we thank you very much for being a part of our sessions, and especially today. And a lot more things you could be doing, since we can go a little bit more now out, but we do appreciate you being here.
Someone pointed out that the 1st of September is Derby Day, so.
Oh, they're going to be the Derby, so we may have to move it to the end of the month, maybe the end of August.
Okay.
Okay. All right, well, we'll be in touch, and thanks so much. Everybody have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.